Hey you guys, so today's video we are going to be doing hooded eye techniques, tips, and tricks. It's just some new things I have learned this year. The last time I did a video all about hooded eye makeup was over a year ago, and while I still believe there's lots of good information and tips and tricks in that one, I do feel like I've learned a lot since then, and there's a technique that I have been doing off and on all year. It's the one that I'm wearing right now, obviously, that I think is super easy. It will actually help you figure out how to map your eye shape out a little better, because if you have hooded eyes, sometimes that is the most difficult part, is kind of creating your crease and creating an eyelid that will take makeup. So this technique actually kind of helps you figure out how to frame your eyes with eyeshadow in a flattering way. It'll help you figure out how to connect your outer corner to your lower lash line, because I get tons of questions about that. We're going to talk brows, we're going to talk lashes, we're going to talk everything. So I hope you guys are excited. Thumbs up the video if you are. I'm just going to get this bad boy started, and this is a chit chat get ready with me style tutorial. So that means I will have a naked face in 3, 2, 1. Okay, you guys. I've noticed that really achieving like a lifted, kind of more open eye appearance without really fighting my natural eye shape as much as I used to, that really starts with my brows. One of the things I'm doing differently now with them mostly is that I'm not dragging them down this way really at all. I kind of realized that my eyebrows don't want to do this anyway. So when I do this, it's really not flattering to my face shape in the first place. It's just bringing my eye down. So if my hooded eyes, which I do have, every time I do a hooded eye video, people be like, she doesn't even have hooded eyes. I do, I promise. They might not be as hooded as yours, but I have hooded eyes. And the thing with mine is they are kind of like droopy and like downturned. So when my brows are doing this too, it's just kind of helping create that expression. And what I want is lift and open. All this to say, step one, make sure the brow shape that you're creating is supporting not only what is actually most flattering for your face, but also being mindful of how your brows could potentially be dragging this entire area downwards if you're not paying attention. So I'm going to do my brows really quick off camera. No point in trying to do a tutorial. And I'll be right back. So this is where I'm talking about, like, what I was doing for a long time was taking this down my brow like this, like very deliberately rounding it a little bit. But my brow bone kind of stops here, so it just didn't make sense that I was trying to add so much on. It wasn't flattering my face, and again, bringing me down. So what I'm trying to do is keep it, I do want an arch. I don't want a straight brow, but I'm not going to drag it down. See what happens if you shorten your brow a little bit. I feel like it automatically lifts your whole face up. So try it out, see what you think. I'm going to prime my eyes using Tarte Shape Tape. This is the only concealer I have ever used as a primer as consistently as I use it, because I don't know, I guess I have oily little eyelids and I need something that's going to kind of mattify them and keep it in check. Oh, dang. I personally feel like just doing my brows in this new way and kind of brightening up my eyelid area, I feel like I already look more awake, more lifted, more wide-eyed. When I do these type of videos, I always get comments in the comment section of people kind of being like, well, this is too much. Like, I can't wear this to my job. I understand that, but what I hope you guys get from my videos is that you just have to cherry pick techniques that work for you and aspects of makeup application that work for you. Like, no one's gonna make a customized YouTube tutorial for you. I mean, maybe I should start doing that. How much did I charge? I'll do it. You're gonna have to start to learn what things really apply to you and what things would actually work for you. So I'm gonna try to make it a point to mention, you can leave this out, you can skip this, and like qualify my tips, but really that's your work that you have to do. So now that we have the brows and the primer on, we're actually going to start in a different direction than we normally do. In the past, when I've done eyeshadow tutorials, particularly hooded eye ones, I've told you guys to kind of start focusing on mapping out your crease first, because if you have hooded eyes, you don't have a crease. That's kind of what determines the hoodedness, but you don't have one, so you need to create one. We're going to work backwards now. We're actually going to start from the outer corner and from the bottom and work our way up. And this is going to help us map out like a truly more flattering, kind of eye-hugging, lifted effect. It's really easy. I think it's the easiest way to do your eyeshadow, honestly. I think it would flatter literally everyone, but like I said, I'm targeting hooded eyes because I find it to be particularly flattering. Get an eye pencil. You need something that's a little bit emollient and that you can blend, nothing too stiff. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start out by kind of mapping out our outer corners with this pencil and using it to create kind of a wing. You're going to be kind of adding and blending this for a minute, so start softly. But what we're trying to do is figure out where our outer corner kind of needs to go, if that makes any sense. Because sometimes with your outer corner in particular, when you're doing your eyeshadow, the direction you allow this part to go is really going to affect the shape that your face is taking on. Again, so like I said, we're starting with the brows. The brows are going up. We're not dragging down. And similarly with your eyeshadow, if things are going like this, that kind of rounded thing, you might be able to create a more round eye shape, like because you're creating a circle, but we're gonna try to create lift. Okay, so you need your pencil and you're gonna need some kind of smudging brush. You need it to be something that will allow you, see how this is thin and straight? It's gonna allow me to get right along that liner. Anything like this will work. This is a different type of brush like that. It's still gonna do the same thing. You can do it with a pencil. It's just not gonna be as easy, like a pencil brush. I don't feel like it's as easy to do it with these, but it will work. And you can even do it with a flat shader brush if you hold it the right way. So you do not need any one brush that I'm telling you about. You just need some sort of shading kind of smudgy brush and your pencil, and have it nearby because you need to kind of smudge and blend pretty quickly. So I'm starting with my eyeliner. I'm looking down into a mirror. I'm gonna pull my eye taut a little bit. You don't want to do this kind of motion because once you release it, it's just gonna go back to its correct form. It's not going to stay this way, so why would you create a shape that direction? So what you're going to do is you're more going to pull it taut, particularly if you have hooded eyes, just so you can create a more flat surface to work on. And you're going to start in this outer corner and you're just going to start creating a line. See how it's slightly going up? Like so. I don't know if you can tell. You might be able to tell this way. You see how it's slightly going up. I just don't want it to droop down into this outer corner. Do you see that little space that's right there? It's because my eye is going downwards and I'm not going to follow that. I'm going to fight it a little bit. Once you get a little line on, you're going to take your smudgy brush and you're going to start softening it. Through the act of blending this, you will spread this eyeliner around. So that's why you don't want to make it too big or go too far, because we're still going to create, like I said, this lifted effect, but we don't want it to go out here. We don't need to drag the shadow that way in order to accomplish it. So try not to let it extend. And then you're going to repeat this part of the process until it is the depth that you would like and the shape that you would like. But I will give a word to the wise, depending on your level of hoodedness and how big your eyes are, the more you bring it in here, the more you're going to get that more extreme cat eye. So it's going to kind of create like a line that's going to go like this and get bigger. If you keep it a little bit closer to the outer corner in the middle, it's going to be more subtle. So that's going to depend on what you want, like how intense you want the cat eye to go. So again, the further you bring this line in, the higher you're going to have to take it out here to get the same effect. If you want it to be more subtle, keep it in the middle, like basically where your iris is, and outward. So once you kind of have what you want here shape-wise, you just want to kind of blend out the edge of this slightly. I tell you guys all the time that when you're working with creams and powders on the eye together, you want to make sure you're blending out the edges of, especially if it's a stiffer formula, you might not have to with all of them, but most of the time when you're trying to blend a powder into a cream that hasn't been blended, like the edge hasn't been blended, your powder's not going to slide along it. It's going to skip. It's going to be like harsh. So going ahead and softening that up. Don't worry that we're not maintaining this kind of sharp, sort of pristine shape. That's really not the point of this step yet, so don't you fret none. Next, I'm going in with the smallest brush I'm going to use. Now, if you've been watching my eyeshadow videos for a while, this is confusing because we usually go biggest colors, biggest brushes, to darkest colors with smallest brushes, but we're gonna do it the opposite today because we're working backwards. And the reason we're doing this is, again, to map out our shape more effectively. So where we want this little line that we're using to kind of map out our crease, we're gonna make sure that it kind of starts in this outer corner, and that is what this little liner is helping us with. We're gonna connect it with this line and move our way up. So you wanna find your little corner for your line that you made. Again, mine is right here. And I'm gonna go up like this. Be careful, you are gonna blend this out, so I would actually recommend having your next biggest brush ready to go, which in my case will be this one. So like this is smaller, it's gonna apply it more precisely. This is a little bigger and it's gonna soften my line. Basically, work slow, but you are gonna go in with a darker shade. Any mid-tone brown will work. And then you're just going to start kind of hanging out and recreating that shape with the shadow. And then we are working our way over. Like so. And then I'm just going to blend it out right away. I'm looking into my mirror with my eyes open, looking straight at it, just kind of finessing that shape a little bit more in the upward direction. But I don't want it to be like all the way up here because this is the darkest shade we're working with and we're going in small amounts. So there's my outer corner. We've already kind of mapped it out, and I'm just gonna blend. This is really the part that takes like the most work, if you will. Get this outer corner right, and I feel like that is what I like about this technique, because so many of you guys have asked me about the outer corner to lower lash line connection point. Like, how do I know where to connect them at? This hopefully will help you figure out kind of how to map out your eye shape a little better. I feel like with what we have right now, if you wanted to, you could put on like a little bit of liquid liner, like just to kind of bring some actual depth to this lash line, curl your lashes, and it would look like you kind of did like a full-blown eyeshadow look, honestly. You've got just enough definition out here, but we use a lot of cream, so it looks really soft. I think you'd be good to go. But if you want to keep on keeping on like I do, we're actually going to do the liner step one more time, except when we go to smudge it out, instead of just smudging out the line with a clean brush, we're going to actually smudge it out with shadow because we want it to be a lot darker right here than it is right here, and that's just going to once again give more of that dramatic effect. So as you can see, I'm not going any further. I'm not coming into here. I'm keeping it out here, and I'm building it up a little bit. And then I'm going to take the shadow that I used, the brush that I used to start building this outer corner, and I'm just going to blend. I am just continuously, as I'm blending, pushing up like so. Do you see what I mean? So we're getting that lift now, we're getting that shape up there, but it's not taking over, and it still looks kind of natural. So you guys, for so long, I have been doing this lower lash thing and really piling it on because I thought that was the way to kind of bring the most attraction and kind of life to the eye. But instead, really trying to figure out how to pull this up a little bit is enough. Like, it automatically, like, this to me is a done eyeshadow look. And it took a couple of shadows and a pencil. We're going to keep going, but you could stop here. I'm going to go back in with that kind of blendy brush that we started off with, our second brush in our look. And I'm going to take a warmer shadow, a lighter shadow, and I'm going to start, once again, kind of just following that little fake crease we were creating, just a little bit up. See, we're drawing it back in again, but we're not going to take it in too far. We're really hanging out just right here, and we're making sure all of our lines are kind of connecting. And then we're going to blend again. So the amount of blending that you do ultimately determines how soft or harsh any given step of your eye makeup is going to look. Like, I could sit here and blend this liner out to the point that it was like even softer. But if you want it to be bolder, that's why you kind of focus on just blending your edges and keeping away from this area. That's where you want the depth, so you're blending around it. And this part as well, you can take this as far over as you prefer and blend it out to whatever degree you prefer. But either way, it's creating like your crease. Now we're going to actually do our transition shade, so that is going to be the lightest color you're working with. And now we're going to add that on top of everything else. You can bring this in to kind of connect to the nose like I do sometimes. But ultimately, it's just a softer wash of that transition color. And it kind of softens everything again. And this is the beauty of this look. Like, depending on what you want to do, you can stop here. Or you can be like, I want this outer corner a little bolder. Let me add a little more. But the fact is, we've already built our shape up. We know what shape we have, and the intensity of any given part is going to be down to the way that you decide to boost certain aspects of the look. Now I'm going to boost it up to my personal preference, and I'll be right back. So this is kind of a rough outline of what we're working with. Obviously, you can always tell this eye comes out so different than this one, because this is my crazy eye, it's my more hooded eye, and I cannot do the exact same technique on this one that I do on this one. And what you should be focusing on, I mean, the technique is the same, but I position my brush just a little bit more differently on this side than I do on this side. Now here's the thing, I do not think it is a big deal if your eyeshadow is not perfectly symmetrical. Like, they should look pretty similar. It should be evident that you're going for the same effect on each eye. What your energy towards symmetry should be better focused on is your eye shape. You want your eye shape to be more symmetrical looking at the end of it than it does without. And even still, it ain't worth dedicating your whole life to trying to be more symmetrical anyway. So I guess what I'm saying is I get tons of comments about how different people's eyes turn out, and I've said it in every video for as long as I can remember. You're not symmetrical, almost nobody is. So of course one eye is going to look different than the other, but A, it's not the end of the world, and B, as long as like with a passing glance it looks all right, that's really all people are noticing anyway. I'm just saying, your energy is better spent elsewhere. I am going to apply a little bit of a shimmery eyeshadow to the lid. You don't have to. I actually think kind of like a messy, effortless vibe in this moment is pretty cool too, where it just kind of looks like you smudged a bunch of stuff on. But if you want to bring a little life and brightness to this area of the eye, adding a little bit of like a highlight color. Again, our eyes are not super different from our face. We're highlighting and contouring. It's the same thing. We're just using colors and things like that to do it. So I'm going to tightline and do mascara on camera and do my lashes, and I'm going to talk you through the whole process because I've never done a lash video before. And I'm not gonna, because I feel like we get the point by now. There's so many out there. I don't think I have a lot to offer on the subject, but if I do have a couple of tips and techniques, I'm finally going to give them to you. And step one for me is tight lining, because when I curl my lashes, in fact, I'll show you right now. It's probably going to make my life harder, but it's fine. I love you guys. So for hooded eye girls, the biggest tip I can give you for lashes is curl them. Because when I take the time to curl my lashes properly, and it's not a fast thing, I tend not to have a lot of patience for it, but when I actually do it, it's such a huge difference. But when I take the time to curl them properly, they create a really nice shape for my lashes to sit on. Like, otherwise, because my lashes go straight down, my fake lashes want to do the same thing. And when you have hooded eyes, I feel like that is the challenge, or that is when a lash will start to just add more to that droopy or hooded eye effect. You want them up and out and lifted, and that starts with curling your lashes. Now, if you're like me, when I curl my lashes, I can see my tight line. You can't really see it because the way the camera's angled, but you see that flesh colored tight line? When I curl my lashes correctly, you'll be able to see that. Like, even when I'm looking straight at you, you can see my tight line, or my under, what is this called? My upper waterline? Whatever. The point is, tight line your eyes, especially if you have the kind that once you curl them correctly, you can see your skin, because this is going to help hide lashes if you decide to wear them. But if you decide not to wear them, it also makes your natural lashes automatically look thicker anyway. It looks like the lash is kind of starting from a different place. Does that make sense? Makes the lash line itself, where the lashes are coming out of your eyelid, dense looking. Whatever. I'm gonna curl them one more time for good measure. And I'm gonna hold this here for about 20 seconds. 20 actual seconds. Pause this video and count 20 seconds so you know how long I'm holding it here for real. This is what you need to get more aware of, is like time. It's kind of like cooking. This eye already looks way more open, way more lifted, and it's just from curling my lashes correctly and applying a tight line. I'm gonna do mascara. This is the Tarte's Lights Camera Lashes. It's done now. So I don't personally like the way this looks without lashes. I just like fake lashes. But I realize tons of people do not like fake lashes. And a lot of people feel like when they watch makeup tutorials and people choose to use them, that it will not look good on them if they do not choose to use them too. And it's not true. Especially if you have good lashes anyway. Just don't use them. I do not have great lashes, so I love my little eyelid wigs. Now let's talk about lashes. I just want you guys to focus on one thing if you have hooded eyes when you're buying lashes. I personally don't think it's so much about the length or the density. I think what you need to pay attention to is the curve, that swerve, girl. Because look, I don't know, I don't have like a good camera for this, but what I'm really hoping you can tell with this particular pair is that they are going up, like on their own. How do I do this? Wow. All right, there we go. Can you kind of see? They're doing like this. Sometimes you get lashes, particularly as hooded eyes, and it don't matter what you do. You cannot get these things to turn. They're just gonna kind of sit like this or more straight or kind of down, worst case scenario, because your hoods, depending on your hoods, are probably already pushing things down anyway. It's just kind of a little bit of like tiny little bit of pressure pushing them down throughout the day. So if the lash already has a turn, a curvature to it, you're less likely to run into that problem. I don't feel like you have to finesse them as hard. They look better. They open the eye up more. So just pay attention to this part, like this turn. If you can see it in the package already lifted up, it's probably a good sign. These are from Allure. This is the Luxe Marquee something or another. I've been wearing these all year. The first time you put on a brand new pair of lashes is the most annoying, personally. I can, even as someone who wears them all the time, like when I have to break in a new pair, I'm just like, ugh. Because what I do when I'm putting on a pair for the first time is I'm really going to kind of manipulate this band. I wanted to get it nice and loosey-goosey. I've cut it to fit my eye, which is another really good point I will give you guys. When you buy a new pair of lashes, your eye ain't this long. I'm willing to bet. I have done eye makeup on hundreds of people, and the amount of times that I have taken a package out, a pair of lashes out of the pack, and it fit them right away. Basically never. I can't think of a single time. You need to cut these, particularly if you have hooded eyes and you're trying to make them look more lifted and more awake and open. You don't need your outer corner of your lash dragging your eye down, and that's what it does when they're too long. You need to cut from the outer corner and kind of see how they feel. They should feel comfortable. Like, you might be aware of them the same way you're always kind of aware of your nose. You might be able to see them, but that'll go away. They need not be poking you. They should not hurt. And I've talked for so long about lashes because I kind of wanted you guys to be able to get a handle of how long I am letting this glue sit here also. So I put my glue on once I first started talking about this, and I've been letting it sit for a minute to let it get tacky. If it's wet when you put it on, it's just going to slide all over your eye. We've curled our own lashes, so we have like a little shelf for these lashes to sit on. They have mascara on them, which is a good grip for this eye glue. We've let the glue sit. We have a nice little curvature to our lash. I hope you guys can see for the 100th time. And they're cut already to fit my eye. I have my lash. This is how they're sitting. This is them sitting straight. If I apply them like this, they're going to sit straight. We're going to apply them kind of like this. So not like this, like this. Again, when you have hooded eyes, sometimes that's a necessary step, but I feel like in general, you should apply your lashes that way. Wow, I let it dry for too long. Ah! Do as I say, not as I do. Look down into a mirror. I'm just gonna, you gotta kind of mess with them for a minute. Just make sure. You really don't need to focus on the placement of 3 parts, the middle and the inner corner and the outer corner. So I'm just kind of making sure they're on there good. Okay, so these lashes are a little bolder than I was going for today, but it's fine. Basically what we have here is like when my eyes are looking down, you can still see there is some eyeshadow happening. There is some visual interest going on here. It looks like we did something. And I've been talking a lot, so it probably seems like this was a lot of work, but I can do this eye look on myself when I'm in a hurry in about 5-10 minutes. It's really easy, but it doesn't look like we're going for a full-blown look. So these are the type of looks that look great. They're desk to dinner kind of looks because you can just zhuzh. Maybe you don't wear a lash to the office, but when you're getting ready to go, you put the lash on. This would look good with any outfit. Also, so often we talk about makeup looks, but you know, your makeup is a part of your overall look. It shouldn't be stealing the entire show. You know, especially if you're trying to, you know, wear a cute outfit. Like, let the outfit shine a little too. It shouldn't just be all the makeup on your face. So this is one of those looks that just would go with everything. So I'm going to turn the camera off and do the rest of my complexion and then come back and finish up the eyes and we'll be done with this video. So I have applied some eye primer underneath my eye. And I'm going to move on to doing my lower lash line eyeshadow. So we're going to take a small brush. This is like the smallest pencil brush I have, and I'm choosing it because we are going to treat it like it's a pencil. Like we want it to create a line and a shape exactly where we want it to go and nowhere else. So I would recommend having your pencil brush and some sort of fluffier brush to kind of blend out what you're doing. We're going to go in with some light shades. You don't want to go in with the darkest color that you're using, but you don't want to go in with like a bone color or something close to your skin tone. You still want this to be noticeable. Maybe you use a bronzer, anything you want to use that is going to bring actual focus. But what you're going to do is we're not going to go down again. So for a long time I was like really doubling down on creating this shape right here. Like I don't know if it's clear what I'm doing, but we want to go like this from now on. We don't want to go like this. We're going across because again, we're just kind of working with what we have. We're not fighting it so hard. We are just enhancing all of our gifts. Obviously you can make this as dark as you want. The issue isn't so much how dark is it. The issue is it in the areas you want it to be? And then we are connecting. Do you see how now we just have to meet this natural corner that we have created through our eye shape from the very beginning? Like I said, I get so many questions about where you take the lower lash line, how you help it meet the outer corner. This kind of a technique is perfect for that. Because we started with liner, we were able to really kind of create the shape most flattering to our actual eye, and we're just kind of meeting our lines all right there. We'll call that outer corner home base. And then we're going to take that brush that we started with, and we're going to be very intentional about how we blend this out. You don't want to blend below the area, which is something I used to do. You want to blend right on top of it, so that we're not spreading that eyeshadow where we don't want it to go. I'm gonna go back in with Costa Riche for MAC, and I'm gonna connect. I'm gonna just draw like a little line. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm just connecting, again, just making sure this outer corner is nice and dark, drawing a little bit under that lash. And that is as much lower lash line work as I'm gonna do. I don't really think that I'm into that kind of dark under eye thing anymore. I like it a little bit. I think I need it personally, just to kind of balance out the top with the bottom. However, I am noticing that I just like the top heavy look now too, which is not something I was once a fan of. Who knows? This will transition many times in my life. That is the fun of makeup. But right now, I'm content with just not blowing out my eyeshadow down to my friggin' chin. Lower lash line mascara. Again, all it's going to do is open those eyes up, lift them up even more. You can fill in your waterline if you want. I'm not going to today because I think I'm going to put on a bowed lip. Alright guys, that is the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Tons of tips and tricks along the way. Hope you got some ones that will do something super beneficial for you in your eyeshadow technique. Like I said, you can always adjust this to suit your preferences. And if you try it out, definitely tag me in any pictures that you post on Instagram. As always, a link is for the bedrooms. There are a lot of changes coming to the channel in the month of November, and by extension, a lot of change, or not even changes, but a lot of cool things going on Patreon this month. If you're interested, all the information is down below. I have another video that I'm going to film today, which is going to be kind of an update on my thoughts around no buys. So depending on when this video goes live, it may or may not be up already, but if it is up, I will link it down below if you want to know kind of where I'm standing on all that a year, almost, yeah, well over a year after my no buy that I went on for a full 365 days. I have a lot of thoughts on it now. So anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.